This episode is sponsored by the Using the Power of Your Voice eGuide, your guide to launching your podcast in 30 days. Slayers, are you feeling a call from God to start a podcast but uncertain about where to begin or what you'll need? Creating a podcast can be a fulfilling and enjoyable experience. Whether you're interested in sharing your expertise on a specific subject, conducting engaging interviews, or educating and entertaining your listeners, podcasting can help you establish strong connections and foster a sense of community. Using the Power of Your Voice is a guide to start your podcast in just 30 days, and it's perfect for anyone who is clear that God told them to start a podcast. Whether you're nervous about recording or unsure where to start, this guide will provide you with valuable insights and actionable steps to help you record and launch in 30 days. In this guide, you'll learn to identify your why, find your topic, learn where to host your podcast, and what equipment you need to start. If you are ready to be obedient to your calling and start your own podcast in just 30 days, download your copy of Using the Power of Your Voice today by going to www.slangselfdoubt.com/podcast. That's www.slangselfdoubt.com/podcast. Thank you for your support, and I can't wait for you to start using the power of your voice. You're listening to the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast with Coach Felicia, where we empower Black women to overcome their doubts, fears, and insecurities in order to give birth to their God-given purpose. Join me and sometimes some of my friends on our journey as we remind you that you are not alone. I'm Felicia Wallace, and together we will find our fears and slay them. Hey Slayers, welcome back to a new episode of the Slaying Self-Doubt podcast. It's your girl, and I said new, and I meant to say another, but we're gonna go with that, okay? First of all, I'd like to welcome all the new Slayers joining our movement. I don't care how you found us, whether it was by way of a solo episode, guest episode, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. It don't matter. If you see me in the street, I shared it with you. It doesn't matter how you got here. I'm just glad you found us and you are here. While you're here, we ask that when you're listening to this episode that you share it with at least 10 people. We're trying to hit our goal of 100,000 downloads by the end of this year, 2023. And then go subscribe to our YouTube page. Last week or last episode, I was sharing with y'all about being prepared and getting ready and where that kind of came from. And I recorded that episode, I think, on a Thursday. Yeah, it was last Thursday. And yeah, I still procrastinated on putting that thing out because I still wasn't prepared. Like there's so many different things that I have that's just been going on between work, kids, school, reorganizing, just like getting things together. And it's such a different space right now. I feel like that I'm in because I feel like for a long time, like I kind of had my things together. But it's just, I don't know, it's frustrating to me that I just can't get it done. But I sat down and I said, after I record this, I'm just going to get everything done because I need to. And again, like I said to y'all before, if I'm not going to show up, why would y'all? So just some information as the news that we generally give you. Okay, so the Slay in One Day workshops are every third Wednesday of every month up until June of 2024. So get your ticket, go on the website, go ahead and get it, get your friends. You can make it a girls' night. Okay, investing in yourself and learning more about yourself, you can make that a girls' night. I might. A thought just came to my mind. You can download the Using the Power of Your Voice eGuide if you are set on starting a podcast. I promise you can do it in 30 days. You can go from record to publish in 30 days. So you can go ahead to the website and get that done. It's hoodie season. I don't have on my hoodie, but it's hoodie season for real. So go ahead to the website, get your We Just Out Here Trusting God hoodies and tees. You can join the Facebook group, the Slayer Society. And lastly, you could always invest in coaching with me this fall and winter so that you're prepared for 2024. So I want to get into before I get into this conversation, let me tell you about what happened to me this weekend. I posted something on Threads that was like, Black women are dope, and they really are. And this what I'm about to say kind of coincides with what this topic is going to be about today. So I went to the opening of a friend of mine's content studio, Adrian Russell. And just a little bit of backstory. I actually met Adrian through Instagram, trying to find a personal stylist for my brand shoot. So when I started this business, again, like I say, often I had no idea what I was doing. I knew I wanted to take some professional photos, and I wanted them to be like, I wanted to show up bossy. You know what I'm saying? Literally the song is in my head. What is the Khalees joint? I'm a boss. Okay. Anyway, I'm bossy. That's what came in my head. But anyway, so we connected. I talked to her. We did the like a console, all this other stuff. And I was just like, I knew from day one of us having like her energy, how we just connected. I just knew we were going to be connected. She definitely walked me through the whole process. We did the photos. She showed up. She did all the things that she came to do. And then we just continue to just like support each other, do different things. She's been on the podcast. We've done some lives. We've done, different things. She was one of the first people to purchase a ticket to um the one and only in-person event, but whatever, we'll get to that later anyway. And she bought a friend, right? And so when she started this journey to opening a content studio, I promise you, I feel like it was like yesterday, and then it was like the next day, here it is. But when she posted it, like, I was so proud, because it is something we have a tendency all the time to just be talking about what we're going to do. It's another thing to put your the action behind it. It's another thing to put your money behind it. It's another thing to put all the things to the side to get the thing done. And so going to her studio, I was just like so proud, right? And so I went into it, was like, okay, what am I going to do? What's my purpose of being there? Of course, when you go to content studios, when it's like it was a soft opening, I guess that's what it's called. And she wanted us to take pictures, whatever, but I knew, like, in my heart, I was really there for her, right? Like, I was like, I'm gonna take photos and do all this stuff, but really I'm there to support her. I want her to know that as much as she supports me, I want to show up in the flesh to support her. But I did bring my stuff, right? So I bought my tripod, I bought my little microphone. My sister went with me. And so even when she asked, like, what's your plan for going into this? And I was like, I really just wanted to be there to support Adrian, but I do know I want to, hey, I'm going to take some photos while we're there. So we get there, everything is just on brand. It's beautiful. It's nice. It's giving all the vibes. Okay. And so it's a couple of people in there taking pictures. You can see, like, people was like serious. Like, they had photographers in there. Like, I was like, okay, people people was ready. Okay. And so, we talked or whatever. And so as the room started to clear out, I thought about it, and I was like, okay, Bun, this is the time where you're going to have to be bold, right? And some of the things that you want to do. So even though, her and I have talked or whatever have you, I was like, you mind if I ask you some questions? I'm gonna just hook up my phone, and I'm just going to interview you. She's like, well, what are we going to talk about? I was like, I don't know. I didn't prepare anything, because I didn't know in the moment that I was going to actually do it, right? So I just asked her one question. She shared what she wanted to say, and then I asked her and her husband question, because the content studio is both of theirs. And so when I finished, I was like, okay, thanks, y'all. I was like, I didn't know how this was going to go. And so my sister was like, you did really good. And I continuously forget about the fact that sometimes these things come naturally to me. But one of the things that she said was in the conversation when I asked her about what it took to get to this place, she was saying, I shared this with you, before, so it's real. Like, every single time, like, doubt came into my head, I was thinking, like, what will Felicia say? What will Felicia say? And she gonna be like, girl, come on. And I said in it, like, I need to take my own advice. And it was funny at the time, but it was real, because I recognized that there are lots of people that I have influenced, that I have made some type of impact. And again, like I said, like if I'm not out here doing the thing, if I'm not out here stepping out on faith, slaying self-doubt, and even though I say every time you see me showing up, that is what I'm doing, I think sometimes for me, I take that for granted. I take that for granted that people are watching. I take it for granted that people are waiting to see how, what are we going to do? Because that is their inspiration for them to slay their self doubt. And I know that I've said our obedience is connected to somebody somewhere, but until you see that somebody and you see that there are people out here using this name and saying, no, I'm slaying my self doubt. Like, I didn't always understand the power behind it. And now that I'm getting it and I understand it more, I'm like, girl, you gotta do the same thing. You can't, the other people can't be out here slaying self doubt while you sitting on the sidelines, right? And so that was a moment for me to say, like, and I told her, I was like, you are inspiring me because there's things that I want to be able to do that I eat, whatever it is. Some of it I feel so afraid to do it for so many different reasons. That I don't, right? And so just watching her walk this thing out was such an inspiration. I'm super proud of her. I'm going to make sure that I tag the content studio. It's called Content Incubator HQ. It's in Prince George's County. And y'all, I'm telling you, support the Black businesses that are out here really doing the thing. Okay. Now I know that sometimes we can go to play. There's plenty of things that we can say about some Black owned businesses, but for the most part, people's hearts behind it are genuine. They're not trying to get over. They really are creating a space for us. So use it, okay? Use the space. And so I will put I'm going to put a link to the location in to the studio in the show notes. So, and if you follow me on Instagram, I'll be tagging her and stuff. So you'll see stuff come up anyway. But this brought me to this conversation today, two things. One, because of that conversation, and then secondly, because I was reading a devotional and they were talking about bold moves. And it really in the plan itself was really talking about bold and brave women, right? And hold on, I gotta go back to it. And so they were talking about how, oh my goodness, y'all, so annoying when I be on here. Oh, okay. So they were talking about how this was just having to do something when you having to make a move when it's uncomfortable, right? And I want to talk about why we don't make bold moves and encourage you to make bold moves. But first, I want to read this part to you. So it says, when we are faithful to the unique assignments we've been given, we may find ourselves available in the moment when a bold move is required. I'm reminded of another woman of scripture, Esther, whose assignment may have seemed much more glamorous, but also put her in a position that required her to speak up. Go says Miriam was standing by for such a time as this too. Her boldness to speak up to power in defense of the vulnerable was heard and opened the door to restoring this family torn apart by violence and injustice. So it was talking about Moses. But this part right here is the part that stuck out to me. When we are faithful to the unique assignments we've been given, you may find I'm going to read it the way I read it to myself. Okay. When I'm faithful to the unique assignment I've been given, I may find myself available in the moment when a bold move is required. And the question is, are you going to take it? Right. So my prayer, and I posted this on threads, was Lord, help me remain faithful and obedient when a bold move is required. And I say that because when a bold move is required and we are put in a situation where we don't. And it could be for several reasons. And so I want to talk about 3 reasons that I think that we don't make bold moves. Now, with that being said, I'm not saying every single time. That what the devotion said is that when you are available, sometimes you're not available. Sometimes it is, I can't make the bold move because I can't commit to whatever the bold move will require. Sometimes I can't make the bold move because God has me doing something else. Sometimes I can't make the bold move because um maybe it ain't for me. Maybe it's for somebody else, right? And so there are times where we absolutely can't and we're not available. But when we are available, sometimes the choice of not making a bold move boils down to these 3 things. Okay. So 1, we're stuck in our comfort zone. 2, perfectionism. 3, we care about what other people think. Okay. So those are the 3 things we're gonna go over today. So being stuck in your comfort zone. When it comes to making bold moves, it is scary. It is terrifying. There's like literally no other word for it, right? It is anxiety ridden, all of those things. Why? Because it's uncomfortable, right? When I think about when I decided to leave my job, although I knew that this is the path that God wanted me on, it did not take away the fear. It did not take away the uncomfortability. I was so nervous, so uncomfortable. And I debated plenty of times about whether or not this is what I'm supposed to do. Anytime God gives me a new assignment, it makes me uncomfortable. It makes me feel, when I had to start the podcast, it was like, oh my God, you want me to do what now? And say who the how and blood and keep going. When I had to start coaching, oh, you want me to have people talk to me and share their stuff and me actually help them? What? All of those are bold moves. Sometimes it's when you are I don't know, when you have to leave a relationship, that's a bold move. Whether it's a friendship or a romantic relationship, that is a move that sometimes it's like, what am I going to do? What's going to happen after this? What does this say about me if I walk away from this situation? Maybe it's I don't know, moving out and getting your own place. And that is a scary thing to do. A lot of it is, it's scary on the other side of it, right? But the thing that hinders us when we talk about this is being comfortable, right? And so when you choose your comfort over making the bold move, you stay the same. Now, when people who are like to remain comfortable and stay in their comfort zone, generally when a bold move comes up, even if they think about it, they're like, nah, I just rather be right here. Some of the reasons of staying comfortable is because the uncomfortable is too nerve-wracking. It's the unknown. You don't know what's going to come. And so you just like, I'm better off here. You hear the saying, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, right? Even when you think about switching jobs, right? Some people just like, I remember when I was working in my previous job, and I had staff members that were like, nah, I'm comfortable here. And I would have to tell them, like, there's a ceiling here. Okay. If the highest you can go in this office, in this space, is the physician. You ain't go to medical school, you're not going to be no physician. So let's go ahead, check that off, right? So then the highest position that you can have is mine. If I'm still here and I ain't going nowhere, where are you going? Right? If you already know that this is your ceiling, because some stuff is just factual in this situation, if you stay here, this is as far as you can go. You're either making a choice, if you stay, you're making a choice to stay right where you are. And then you can't complain about it. You can't say nothing about, well, they ain't giving me enough money. We're not doing this. You made a choice to stay right here. So if you're making a choice to stay right here, then you know what it entails. If you're making a choice to stay right here, then you know what the consequences of that is. So why are you complaining? Why are you complaining when you're choosing to be comfortable, right? So you have to make sure, you have to understand that if you are refusing or choosing not to make a bold move, you were choosing the consequences of staying comfortable. And sometimes that's irritability. Sometimes that is no movement, no advancement. You were just staying in the same place. Sometimes it's some people are okay with it. If you're okay with it, then that's your business. But if you feel like that God is calling you to do something and you keep wondering why, like why nothing is happening, it's because you ain't doing nothing, right? So that's number one. Sometimes we're just stuck in our comfort zone, and it's easier to stay there. It is easier for us to talk to the other thing about being in your comfort zone, okay, because I'm about to get in your business, is that there are people around you, okay, people in your circle, okay, that you feel like you will outgrow or lose if you make this move. And sometimes you think that your journey or your moves or your growth is attached to the person next to you, behind you, whatever, right? That you think it's attached to that friend group. And the reality is that what if your bold move elevates your group? What if your bold move connects you to people that's going to continue to take you higher, right? This everybody's not going to get this, right? Everybody's not going to get this because everybody doesn't feel led to grow. The people who feel led to grow, who are like, this ain't it, this ain't enough, I need more, I don't know what it is, I feel stuck. It's because there's a move that needs to happen that you ain't making. And you need to ask yourself, why ain't I making this move? What is the thing that's holding me back? Or who is it that's holding me back? And sometimes that comfort is about people and being afraid of leaving some people behind because if you leave them, they're going to stay right where they are. But let me tell you also that some people want you to stay exactly where you are because they don't have to grow. And people prefer you the way you are, right? And so you like, this ain't about nobody else. This ain't about asking your friends or whatever have you. This is a very like introspective conversation you and the Lord need to be having. Like, what is this next move? What do I need to be doing? I tell y'all often, I always say to God, remove the people who no longer serve me. Remove the people who don't need to be in this next part of my life. And so that I can see what I'm supposed to be doing, because sometimes those people are around you to dim your light. Sometimes your light is too bright for other people and they just want to keep you where they at. That's their business. But if you want more for yourself, if you want better, then you need to make a move quickly. Okay. So one, you're stuck in your comfort zone. Second reason why we don't make bold moves, perfectionism. Okay, this one applies to me too. It's got to be perfect. It's got to look right. It's got to sound right. It's got to be right. It's got to be the exact number. It has got to be the exact price. It's so many different things that have to, you got a list, baby, a hundred point checklist that it has to meet every single list. You know what that causes? Delay, because ain't nothing perfect. Ain't nothing ever going to be perfect. But if you are saying it has to look this way 100%, it's going to delay the move that you need to make. And you know what that means? That means you're going to miss it. That means it's going to pass you by. That means that whatever was supposed to happen because of that move, something else doesn't happen to somebody else, right? Again, if I delayed, I know, I delayed this podcast for some months because of my own being uncomfortable, being stuck in my comfort zone, being a perfectionist. And when we get into the third one, caring about whatever people think, right? All three of these applied. But once I did it, I was like, all of it still mattered. It all still mattered, but it allowed, I was still able to move through. But what I recognized is that had I started sooner, um, there may have been some people that I might have connected with or been able to help if I just got out my own way. Sometimes we don't know the reason why God is calling us to do something now, right? My pastor always says the key to obedience is speed. Delayed obedience is disobedience. So even though you do it, but if you do it 10 months later, I guarantee you it was something that was supposed to happen in those 10 months when you should have been doing it, that God was connecting the pieces. But now he got to wait. And you don't know how long he got to wait because things are moving, right? But what you could have gotten in those first 10 months, you didn't pass it by. So now you got to wait till it comes back around. And either way, it's going to be perfect timing and it's likely going to happen, but you could have had what you needed sooner had you started sooner, right? Let's think of it a little bit more realistically. Exercise, right? We all on this health journey, we're all trying to do certain things, right? If you delay your health journey and say, okay, I'm a exercise, whatever, I don't know, 5 times a week, right? And then you don't do it, and then like 6 months go by, that 6 months are wasted. Guess what's happened? You probably gained some weight or you stayed the same weight. Your habits have not gotten any better. They've likely gotten worse. There's so many different things that you have to now kind of course correct and go back and start over because you delayed versus just doing it at the moment that you say, I'm going to do this thing. These are the things that I need to do. This is how I'm going to commit myself to it. And then instead of in 6 months, you gained a whole lot of weight. In 6 months, you could have, maybe you didn't lose the weight you wanted to lose, but maybe you gained strength. Maybe you toned up. Maybe you created a new healthy habit for yourself. Something could have happened versus nothing happening because we're so busy trying to, oh, let me make sure my schedule is right. Let me make sure I look right. Let me make sure I do this. Even when we think about in doing certain stuff, so like there's things that I want to be able to do out here. Like I want to be able to do public speaking. I want to be able to, tour and do a live events and all that stuff. I also know that, I need to be I've said this before, I need to be in good health to be able to do that. There are times right now, if I stand up too long to cook, my ankle swell, right? So I know that being uncomfortable in other places is going to be an annoyance to me and it's going to be a distraction. And I know that in order for me to get to where I'm trying to get to, I need to be in better health. Okay. So that's what I'm saying I need to do. But if I delay my health journey because it's not the right time, or because I'm not ready, or because I'm procrastinating, then what else am I delaying? I'm delaying the thing that I'm praying to God for, the live events, the conferences, the things where I need to stand up for hours because I've now delayed. So it's all connected. When you delay one thing, you delay the next thing and the next thing, and it keeps going. So instead of having everything need to be checked off your list and it need to be absolutely perfect, pick 3 things. Pick 3 things that you need to be actively doing, right? I'm in a space right now where I'm actively changing my health habits. I'm eating better and I'm working out. I'm actively doing those things. So if stuff comes up in the process, yes. Oh, great. I got this speaking engagement. Oh, okay. But I'm still moving. I haven't reached my goal yet. But if I say I can't do it until I reach this, what if that takes me 5 years? Because I be bojangling or whatever have you. What like you're not going to meet the next thing if you're waiting for the first thing to absolutely happen. So perfectionism is another reason why we don't make bold moves. And then the last reason is we absolutely do care what other people think. I don't care what nobody say. Okay. When you think about having to do something, even if it's like family, I wonder what they're going to say. I wonder what they're going to think. I remember when I was going to leave my job and I was trying to figure out like how I was going to explain it, right? Because everybody else leaves their job to go to another job. That then, in that kind of makes sense. Uh, I mean, that makes more sense, right? Nobody leaves their job and says, well, God told me to come home. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm just being obedient. That right there it felt like it was going to be the hardest conversation I was going to have to have. And for a long time, to be honest with you, I avoided it. Like when I tell you that there was some people who didn't know that I left my job and they would ask like, oh, so what are you doing? And I was like, at home. Like that's how I would say it. And they were like, oh, then I'd have to explain like blah, blah, blah. And it was kind of this thing was like, some of it's because I didn't know, but it really was like, oh, I actually do care what people think. I have to, sometimes it's not caring, like, oh my gosh, what are they going to say? Um, is that going to change my mind type thing? But sometimes it's caring what they think and having to explain it, and you feel like you don't want to have to explain yourself. So instead of you not wanting to have to explain yourself, you don't do the thing that you're supposed to do because you worried about how you going to have to explain what God told you to do, right? And I have learned over the years that it's not nobody's business, right? God didn't send a message in a group chat. It was a one-on-one conversation. So what he told me is between me and him, and how that looks is also between me and him, right? But I do think that we have a tendency to not do stuff because we're worried about the conversations that we're going to have with other people, even if it's about a relationship or whatever have you. Somebody asking you like, well, why you leave? Well, why this? Why, or why you staying? Or whatever the case may be, why you decide to do this? Like, mind your business. Like, I'm saying that now because once you start saying it out loud, then you be like, why do I care? But you do care. And I think that the moment we're able to say that's one of the things that's holding us back. I used to say, um, when I started the podcast, that one of the things that I was worried about is what other people would say, because there was a 98 bun, right? And she ain't the same as 2023 bun, right? And so it was kind of like, that's my character. That is who I was. I know that I don't regret anything. I know that everything that happened prior to this date is needed to happen, right? I know that in my old age now, I can say that. But in the beginning, I was like, oh my gosh, like these people don't know that I've changed. These people don't know that I'm different, that my life is different, that the way God uses me is different. And it was such a worry of mine that people were going to use my past against me or be like judgmental. I mean, y'all know how social media is. It never happened. And at this point, even if it did happen, I would be like, that probably did happen. You're probably right. But it's one of those things where it's kind of like, that was something that held me back, that I was worried about if my past was going to catch up with me, and if people were going to think I was fluke, or people were going to think, something weird. But the reality is that we all have a past. We all have things that we have done that we're not proud of. We all have things that we have done that we wish we could have taken back. We all have people, places, things that we wish that if we could have made a different decision, we would have, right? Um, but it is what it is. And so my encouragement to you is that if any of these three, if being comfortable in your comfort zone, worrying about perfectionism, or worrying about whatever people think, if those are the reasons that are keeping you from making the bold move that God is asking you to move, my encouragement to you is to pray about those things and ask God to help you get out your comfort zone. Ask God to help you not want everything to be perfect. Ask God to help you to stop thinking about what other people think about you, or whatever the situation is. You have to get to a place that even when you're moving, even when you're going forward, you will slaying self-doubt. You were slaying it. Like all of those things, this is all about slaying self-doubt. Like, it's not that these things are not going to come up. There's some bold moves that I want to take. And them three things I just listed, baby, they still showing up. But I have to actively say, the assignment that God has on my life is greater than these three things. And I'm okay with whatever the repercussions of me making this bold move is going to be, because the freedom that's going to come behind it, or the impact that is going to happen from me actually doing those things, is greater than these three fears that I have. It's greater than this self-doubt that I'm carrying around. And so the question of this episode is, what bold moves do you need to make? Only you know that. And so I would love to hear what your bold move is. And so you can email me at info@slayingselfdoubt.com, or you can put your answer in the post that is going to come up that's going to ask this question. But I really want to know, like, what bold moves do you need to make? we all have something that we're supposed to do. It's not, and I want y'all to know, it don't have it could be entrepreneur, career, relationship, parenting, marriage, lifestyle, health, mental health. I don't know what it is. Sometimes your bold move may be that you need to post every day on social media. Your bold move may need to be that you drink 8 ounces of water every 4 hours. Your bold move may be that you need to get out and walk 30 minutes. Your bold move is that you may need to have a difficult conversation with your kid. Your bold move may be that you need to create a budget with your spouse. Your bold move could be anything. Your bold move may mean that you need to have a crucial conversation with your supervisor or your boss or your employee. I don't know, but there's a bold move that each of us have to make that is going to level us up. And you're going to stay exactly where you are until you make that bold move. And so, I really just hope that this episode was encouraging, it was informative, and that something resonated with you. As always, thank y'all for rocking with me. Again, if you enjoy this podcast and you find it valuable, please consider making a donation by buying me a coffee. Your support of a small donation of $5 to $10 will help me create new content, grow our audience, and purchase new equipment for live recordings. I told y'all I'm trying to spruce it up. Okay. Take charge of your mental health and get 10% off your first month of therapy at betterhelp.com/slaying, SLAYING. Make sure you subscribe to the Slayer Nation newsletter. Again, please share this episode with at least 10 people. We're trying to hit 100,000 downloads before the end of the year. Follow me on Instagram at Slang Self Doubt. Follow me on TikTok at Slang Self Doubt. You can follow me everywhere at Slang Self Doubt. Until next week, keep slaying, sis. See ya. All right, y'all, that's all for this week. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to share, subscribe, rate, and review. Remember to head over to Facebook and Instagram and follow me at Slaying Self Doubt. Oh, wait, don't forget, go to my YouTube channel and watch this episode, and remember to press the subscribe button. Until next week, see ya.